Hi friends, this is Sharon from Mad Paper Crush. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making 5 fun pieces of ephemera or embellishments for your journals out of digital ephemera. So I'm hoping that this will inspire you to think about your ephemera a little bit differently. So you don't always just have to cut something out, fold it up, and put it in your journal. There's lots of things you can do with your ephemera. You can combine it in different ways and use it in different ways. And you've probably already thought about a lot of these ways and maybe even have done them in the past. But I'm hoping this little video will inspire you to get creative with your ephemera and make some fun stuff with it. So we'll be making some word tags here. You can see these little tags that I've made, word tags. We're going to be making a little coin envelope. We're going to be making a file folder. We're going to be making a layered pocket, and we're going to be making a layered tag. So I hope you'll join me in this video as we make 5 things from digital ephemera or real ephemera. Let's go. All right, so I'm going to be starting with this digital kit of mine. It's called Sundry, and it's volume 1. I have 3 different volumes of Sundry, and basically Sundry is just a bunch of digital ephemera. So if you need some additional ephemera to put into your journals, I think these are great for that because it's just a whole bunch of different things. So as you can see here, I have a stereoscope card, I have a little invoice here, I have marbled pages, checks, advertisements, calling cards. There's just all kinds of a mix of different things in these kits. Stamps, cabinet cards. You can see there's all kinds of different things. So this volume 1, I'm going to try to keep to make 5 different things that aren't just, you know, a note card, for instance, or, you know, just something you would cut out and just put into your journal as is. So I wanted to kind of use this kit to do a bunch of different things that you might not think of using a digital kit. Now, obviously, you don't have to use this digital kit. You could use real ephemera if you have it, I think, to do some of this stuff as well. And hopefully this will inspire you to come up with some different ideas for things that you could do that, you know, aren't just taking an old invoice and folding it up and putting it into the journal or something like that. So hopefully this gives you some ideas of different things you can do with your ephemera or digital ephemera to make some neat embellishments for your journals. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to make is a little coin envelope. So I'm going to be using this little piece of written paper that I took from the kit and this little fussy cut flower, and that's it. But you can see I didn't cut this whole piece out. I just, fussy cut the flower. So with digital ephemera, you can, use just the parts that make sense for you. So for this, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get out my little scoreboard here, and to make an envelope, actually I don't like to use that one. To make an envelope, you need to kind of have it so that, whatever the size of your paper is, let's start with that. Whatever the size of your paper is, your coin envelope is going to be about half of whatever that size is. So this one is a little over 6 1/4, but because I want some overlap, I'm going to take this down to 6. So I know that my envelope needs to be like 3 inches on the front so that the back pieces can fold over and then overlap so that I can attach them. So you need to do it a little less than half, and I'm doing, looks like maybe 3/8 less than half of an inch, but you might want to do like a 1/2 inch just to be on the safe side. So that being said, the front is going to be about 3 inches. The back needs to be half plus that 1/2 inch that you're taking off. So it's going to be 3 1/2 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my folds here. I'm going to do 1 1/4 inch on this side. And then I'm going to do let's see, from the other side, I'm going to come in, I think 2 1/4 inches so that I have that flap folded over. So I'm going to start from the 6 here, and I'm just going to come in 2 inches since this already goes over. So I'm going to come in 1, 2. And so then my front is going to be a little less than 3 inches, but that's okay. I just want to be sure that my back pieces actually overlap enough so that I can attach them. So that's a pretty good size for a coin envelope. And then before we glue anything or whatever, I need to do the bottom portion too so that we can fold it all together. So I'm going to, you know, just decide, I mean, this is going to be sideways anyway, so just decide what side you want to be up. And then for the bottom, we're going to score the bottom at about, I would do 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch. Either one is fine, just so you have a little bit of a crease there at the bottom for us to use. All right, so let me put this away for a second. And then I'm going to just take my scissors and I'm going to cut out the two side pieces. Let me see how I'm going to do this. Yeah, and then I'm going to just cut out that little bit of a corner there so that I have a flap on the bottom. So that when I fold this over, I'll have that flap going on the bottom. And I'm just making a little angled edge up to the corner of those and then cutting off that bottom piece on both sides. So you can see I have my little flap at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to move those out of the way. And then the other thing I want to do before I do that as well is I'm going to add a little notch in it. So a lot of coin envelopes have a little notch, a finger notch in the front. So I'm just going to, maybe I'll try to measure this a little bit, because if you know me, you know I'm pretty bad at finding the center of things. So this is 1, 2 1/4. Boy, that doesn't help me, does it? So I need to put these maybe between the 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I can do 1 1/2. So there you go. That's my strange math that I do. All right, so I'm just going to take this and I'm going to punch a little bit, just like a half circle or a little bit over a half circle right there in the middle for my coin envelope. And then I am going to add some distress around the edges. So we'll do that real quick before we get this going, because I do want it to, you know, not look like I just cut it out of nice fresh white paper. Okay, and then I'll probably ink these up a little too, the creases, because that always looks fun, like it's older. Okay, so we got those. And then the other thing I will need to do is add some distress to this part of the back, because it's really showing that it's not old on the back, so that when we fold that over, that'll have that nice look there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it all together. Now you can do the, you know, fold on the inside or the fold on the outside. I kind of like to do the fold on the outside. That's my preference. I'm just going to use a little bit of this 3-in-1 Beacon 3-in-1 glue, and I think I have a pretty decent size overlay here, so I'm just gonna start with that, and then we'll glue the flap up. And just be sure you don't you know, glue the envelope together down there at the bottom. Even though the flap is going to be holding it together, you want it to have a little bit of give for, you know, being able to put something in there. So we'll fold that up. Whoops, and you can see my, I did it the wrong way. So I needed to add a little bit of distress inside of there. And let's see if I can do that without ripping the whole thing apart. I think I might be able to do that. And obviously it would have been better if I just would have inked up the whole thing on the other side. So I guess that's what happens sometimes when you're going a little too fast. All right, and then I thought this would be fun on the front. So I have to find the bottom here. And I thought this would be fun to just add a little embellishment on the front. And so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some glue to the back. Now I probably should be using my art glitter glue here, but I don't have, it's been stopping up on me, so I haven't been using it. So I'm going to just add some glue to this. And then I'm going to have to probably cut off some of the edges of this, but I'm okay with that. Or even maybe we'll try to fold it around. That might be more fun if I can. I don't know how much I'll have left over, but I kind of liked this sort of at an angle here. Kind of just like that. And then I have this little bit here that I could just, to make sure I have enough glue on there. And then over here, the same thing. There's not enough glue on there. We'll add a little glue to the back of this little piece. And then I might have to hold it in place for a second for it to stay down. And that one I think had some glue on it. But now you have a cute little coin envelope that you could, I don't even know if I have a, I'll just take a little piece of paper here, but you could create a little tag to go in there as well. So I think that's really fun and different. You wouldn't expect that just from, you know, a plain piece of ephemera. Okay, for our next fun embellishment, I picked 3 different things. So I already started cutting them out, but I just wanted to show you where I started so that you can get an idea of what I'm doing. So I'm going to be using this piece. I did cut it out all the way, this flower page, which I love. And then I'm going to be using some of this marbled paper. And this page it's actually an advertisement page, but I cut it in half. So I'm just going to be using some of this piece here. So let me, I'll finish kind of just cutting everything up, and then we'll put it all together. We're going to be making a layered pocket. Okay, in case you're not familiar with how to make a layered pocket, I wanted to just kind of bring it into my process just a little bit. So I had already cut down this one so that it matches the width of my base paper. So I'm going to be using the flower page as my sort of back of the pocket, and then I'm going to be using these 2 as my different layers of pockets. Now you have to decide, you know, which one you want on top, and I think I'm going to do it like this because I think that the contrast in between these 2 pieces looks a little bit nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece. Now I have to decide how high I want this to go. So I'm going to measure that first, and I want a lot of the flowers sticking out if I can, but I'm going to be covering up some of it because of my pockets. And so I'm going to line this up on the side right where I want it, turn it over, and I'm just going to mark. This is the length that I want, and then I want this width here. So I'm going to just cut this down to match that. And then we will cut down the other piece as well to match what we want that to be. So now for my front, whoops, wrong way. So this will be my top pocket, and then this pocket I want to be a little bit smaller. So I think it might be nice if I cut this off. I don't want to cut off too much of this guy, so I may put this up just a little bit so that I can have more of him on there. And I think if I go underneath supplies of every description, that should be good. And I will probably cut off a little bit of his, of the bicycle there, but there's enough of him there that I think will show nicely there. So yes, I like that. So I'm going to just, I might use this for something else, so I'll put that aside. And of course I'm going to keep that because I love the words and things like that that could be put on something else. And then the other thing that I like to do for a layered pocket is put that thumb notch again. So I'm going to do a bigger one this time so that I don't cut off too many of these, the words down below here. So to cut a thumb notch that matches, so if you have to do it in more than one piece, if you line the tops of those pieces up, and then just punch your amount out. And this time I am going to kind of eyeball the center. And of course my punch doesn't always want to punch correctly. Ugh, this thing needs to be sharpened and I don't know how to do that. All right, so we might have to try and trim a little bit off of there, but now my thumb notches will match when they go on here. So I'm just going to, all I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to give myself some distress edges all around everything. And for this one, I think I'm going to sew around it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it together and I'll be back to show you what that one looks like. All right, I have that all sewn together. And of course, you don't have to do that. You could just glue the edges of each of the pockets down to have those pockets ready to go. And so now I have this nice big pocket back here and a smaller pocket up here. And I love the contrast between the two. And then you could just glue this right onto a page of your journal, or you could, you know, make it a pocket itself. So you could just glue 3 sides together. So there's a nice big pocket over here or something like that. So there is our second embellishment. All right, next up is a layered tag. And this one I'm sure you've, you know, even made before, but when you think about it, you know, making it from one kit or just from ephemera that you have, I think this is a great option, even just to use up some of the pieces that you have. So I cut out a couple of the pieces themselves. I added some rounded corners to this. I cut out our little stamp, and then I took this page and actually fussy cut one of the basins out of there. So I thought that would be fun. So then all I would do is just layer these up in a way that looks pleasing, or that, you know, that I like or whatever, and then glue everything down, and you have a wonderful tag. And I like starting with like this ledger base that I have here because it's nice and plain, and then I can just put whatever else I want on top of it. And you know, if I wasn't just sticking to, you know, this kit or something, you could add fabrics here. You could add buttons, you could add brads, you could add all sorts of fun things to make this a neat tag. So I did round the corners of the bottom, and I used my little chomper to make a little scalloped tag top here. So I'm just gonna glue all these down, and it'll be ready to either put into a pocket into my journal, or once again, you could glue it in, you know, as a pocket itself if you wanted to do that as well. All right, next up, let's make some word tags. So I cut out just some of these basins, these water basins here, and I thought it would be fun to cut them out with like my circle punch here. And when I cut them out, you're probably not going to be able to tell what it is, and I am okay with that. So, you know, just look around for decorative pieces in your ephemera, and you can make little tags from them. So I love this little flower here. This one has some great flowers on it. So I'm just gonna try to, you know, center them around, try to find the most fun configuration here to punch them out. And then this one, same thing. I'm just gonna try to get as much of that. Actually, I may take a little bit more off the bottom because I want to get some more of both of these flowers in, and that's not working for me. So let me just cut a little bit more off to see if I can get a little bit more up at the top there. Yeah, I think that works better. So then you can see I have these little tags that you can't really tell what they are, and I think that's totally fine. And now some fun things that you could do with these is, you remember that piece of that advertisement that I took off there. I'm just gonna cut out number 8 because I love numbers, and I think numbers look fun on anything. So you could take this number 8 and we'll add it maybe right to here. And maybe since you can't see that too well, maybe we'll find another, you know, something to go behind it. So maybe even I could use some of this green paper here from this page that might help set it off a little bit. Let's see how straight I can cut this. Probably not real straight. I might have to do that again. Actually, that's not bad. Like I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. I might need to straighten up these edges a little bit. Let's see. And you could put that on there, even on the side, so we could maybe show some of our flowers a little bit more. And then if you have some stamps, so I'm just gonna grab my little, this is my little cheapy stamp set there. And let's see. So I always have a hard time thinking of words to use when I'm stamping things myself. So holler them out to me. I'll probably put, let's see. Since we have some flowers here, maybe what I'll do for this one is I'll just do grow. So I'm going to try to center it, but I'm not going to be perfect about it because to me, things look more perfect when they aren't perfect. All right, so we're just going to use some lettering here. And you could look around in your ephemera or even your scrap pieces to find words and things like that. I did look through here a little bit and I wasn't crazy about, you know, some of the words that I found, you know, so cigars and tobacco. I could put that in there if I wanted to. But there's some fun things you could do. And maybe what I'll do is, if I look at this one, let's see. Yeah, I'm not so crazy about some of these words either. Oh, how about room 13? I like that one. So let's see about cutting this out. And that'll be fun. There. And even if I wanted to, I'm gonna look in my stash here for this little piece of paper, or this little marbled paper that I haven't, that I've used. And I think I'm just going to, this time to make it a little bit easier for me, I'm going to glue it down. Oh, we're getting a little all over the place with this glue. But if I glue it down, then it should be easier for me to cut out. Of course, I didn't add some distress, which you gotta do. See if I can do that with the glue still on there and not get it all over the place, which I probably have done. Yeah, I like that. And I think that'll look really fun on there. So let's see. Cut that down a little bit more. It's a little too big. I always say start big, right? Because then you can always cut down. You can't add on unless you added another paper. So I guess you can add on if you want to. But I love the way those are, and these would be cute little tuck spots or something inside a journal, or even just use like to paper clip in or something like that. I think they would be really fun. So there's some word tags. All right, for our last embellishment, I'm going to use these book pages, which were actually on the same page, and I could have left them together, but I kind of wanted to cut them apart so that you could see, you know, how you might use two different pages, or, you know, things that weren't on the same page to make this. We're going to make a little file folder. So I cut these out, and I tried to cut them about exactly the same size as best as I could. And then I also cut this little marble piece out. And so the first thing I'm going to do is, with the marble piece, I'm going to cut just about a 1-inch slice off of this as our hinge, kind of. And then probably what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and put a score down this just to make it easier for me to fold. So I want to kind of score that right in the middle. And then we'll fold that up. And then actually what I may need to do, which I didn't measure yet, but you need to obviously make sure your hinge is the same size as your folder. So this is a little bit bigger, and that's okay. So we're going to distress our hinge here, and then we'll distress the book pages, and we'll put that together as well. Okay, I'm just going to take my hinge here, and I'm going to glue both sides of it, kind of just along the edge, I think is all I'm going to do here. Just enough to hold the pieces on. And I'm just going to center it for now, because then we can cut off, whoops, what we don't want there. So I have to be sure I'm doing this the right way. So I'm going to just kind of line that up like that. And then what I will need to do is make sure that it's right side up and that these are lined up before I put the other hinge piece on, because I do want them to be aligned as best as I can. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut the excess off. Make that easy for me so I don't have to try to measure how big that piece is. Okay, so here's the start of my folder. And then I'm going to decide, I cut out this little piece too because I thought it would be fun to add a little bit of an embellishment here. So I think I'm going to add that to the back. And then we'll add our file folder tab onto it as well. Okay, using this piece, I'm going to make a tab. I am going to use a little tab board to do this, but you could just, you know, cut curved edges to make a tab here, or you could use, you know, even this scalloped chomper would probably work to kind of make a little bit of a tab. So I'm going to start by folding this over because I want my tab to be decorative on both sides, and I'm going to use my little tab board here to punch my tabs so that it kind of looks like that. And then I will also cut this down because it's going to be way too big. Oops, like that. And then I have my tab here. Of course, I want to give it a little distress. Before I put it on, I am gonna just distress the bend as well a little bit. Oops. And then to put this on, we'll just glue it. And I'm going to, since I put that calling card on the other side, I'm going to keep the tab on this side so that it doesn't cover that up at all. All right. I'm going to put this so that I don't glue it together. And I'm going to try to line that up evenly. And then we'll just push that down into place. Well, now we have a little file folder that you could add some in. You could put some pockets on the inside here, so that you could, you know, add some more ephemera to it. You could even line the back. You could have printed the back, you know, with something else so it wasn't so white on the inside. But I think it's fun. This is a fun little file folder. Oh, and the last thing that I wanted to do before I forget is I wanted to round my edges. So I think I'm just going to use a little bit of a corner rounder here. And now I probably should have done this before I put my tab on, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to round this one the way I want to. I don't think I am. So maybe what I'll do for that one is I'll just cut it, since I can't, and since I'm lefty, this is going to be hard. Let's see, maybe do it this way. I don't know, we'll try. Oof. Yeah, I wish I was not, well, I'm cutting with my right hand, so wish I was cutting lefty, I guess, for this. There we go. But if you're doing that, make sure you corner round before you put your tab on, unless you don't put it near the end, and then you'll probably be okay. And I'm just gonna add some more distress there to make sure those bits are covered up. But there we go. There's our little file folder. And there you have it, friends. 5 things you can make from digital ephemera or from real ephemera other than your standard journal card or tag. I hope you enjoyed this video, friends. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.